You- Okay, Alia, go ahead.
Morning, everyone. My name is Aliyah Khan, and Mike, thank you so much for doing the introduction. We have an exciting program today. We will be meeting with two great candidates. One is candidate for Congress. The other one is candidate for General Assembly in Maryland. Um, and this program is hosted, it's co-hosted by Center for Pluralism and Virginia Muslim Political Action Committee that was formed after the 9/11 turbulence that Muslims got caught in. Um, and it was formed to motivate the Muslims to, participate more in the political area. And I have also been involved in that for a very long time. And then also recently in 2021, I got involved in this year's elections, and we had primary elections in Virginia. Um, our main purpose for this segment today is to get the candidates or past candidates and have them share their experiences to motivate other people, especially the working class people, to motivate them to run and maybe learn some tips from these candidates, see how they do fundraising, how do they cope with families, things like that. So looking forward to a really great conversation with our guests today. Thank you, Mike. Over
Uh,
to you.
Let me just add one more thing, Alia. And we bring both Republicans and Democrats. We are nonpartisan. Personally, what we support is different than officially what we interview. It's for both Republicans, Democrats, and someone yesterday mentioned, why don't you include independents? Yes, it is for anybody who is running for public office can come and encourage other people to run and share their experience. What is that they are going through? What can we do as the public? So go ahead, Alia, introduce Junaid.
Um, our first guest today is Junaid Ahmed. Junaid is a small business owner, and he has been actively involved in community service throughout his life. That includes working with youth and social services organizations. He has an MBA from the University of Chicago, Booth School of Business, and he started his undergrad at the City College of Chicago before transferring to DePaul University. Junaid is married to Shireen, and they have four wonderful children who attend local public schools. I'm very pleased and delighted that Junaid is here with us today. And now, without any further ado, I give you Junaid. Please, Junaid, um, can you cover as to what inspired you to run and why you chose to run for this particular position that you're running for now? Thanks, and take it away.
All right. Thanks, Alia. Thanks, Mike. Hello, everyone. My political. We've been a very politically involved family, I would say, in that to the extent that we've always voted. I remember pretty much all my adult life. I don't think I missed any election cycle where I did not vote. So that was the level of involvement we always had as a family, that we always exercised our right to vote. I've traveled about 60 countries, or 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. What happened during that time was a couple of things that really caught my attention, as I realized that United States was the only country that did not treat healthcare as a basic human right. Second, I also we're talking to because this was travel for business. As I was traveling, another thing I realized talking to a lot of people in many different countries, that actually people had no loans as they were working, and no student loans, no student debt. And those things were, I always wondered during that time, like, oh, really? Yeah. I mean, well, we have to plan for our kids' education for a very long time. And then even after, a lot of planning, a lot of our young men and women come out with a big student debt. And those were things in the back of my mind, and life goes on, right? To come 2015, you hear this guy talking about all these things, which make a lot of sense. 2016, I'm all excited, and I'm saying, hey, we got to support Bernie Sanders. And that is to the extent I supported Bernie at that time. I made sure that my entire family voted for Bernie, and the extended family and friend circle did. Fast forward 2017, 2018. I mean, what happened to Bernie happened in 2016, how he was brushed aside by the machinery, so to say. But 17, 18, I realized that there's got to be more than just the presidential cycle that we got to do. And I've got very actively involved in Medicare for All activism here, and canceling student debt, and more so making college free for everyone who is qualified and willing to go to college. 2020, fast forward again, we know what happened, and that's the time we realized that, hey, we got to do something about this. And we reached out about 2018. We started talking to our elected representatives. Why do you not support these simple basic causes? But why don't you support Medicare for all? And as we got very hard no answers from our elected representative, especially our our U.S. representative from our area, that's when we basically decided that we have to do something. A president, even if we get a Bernie 2.0 in future, without a very strong House and Senate support, there's not much there he or she can do in future. And that's how this candidacy came about. We had a choice to either be a bystander or stand up. And people who we were rubbing shoulders with during this whole time, during this activism years from 17, 18, 19, where the group came together and this candidacy came about.
Wonderful, wonderful. What That was a good inspiration from Bernie, Junaid. And why did you want to run?
Honestly, I was not a candidate when we started scouting for candidates last year. About a year and a half ago is when I'd say early 2020 is when we seriously considered as a team here, a lot of local activists. We were actually looking for candidates. It took us about 3 4 months just going around places, talking to different local elected officials. um, uh, we could not get anyone who has been successfully involved in politics, at least at the local or the state level, to take on an incumbent who at the time had 7 mil plus. Now has got close to 10 million. So we could not find anybody who was, but quote unquote, in the political process already successfully involved, because they for a lot of them, this is a career. I mean, if they did not win, they would be likely bringing their political career to a squeaking end, because going against the will of a local political machine is not an easy thing, and we could not draw enough interest. And well, I'm not going to get into all the details, but one day I got a call, and then the thought process of, Janet, why don't you run? You're running around asking everybody to run. And we actually encouraged about 8 or 9 other people to run for local offices. More than half of them, I'd say about 6 of them, actually won. And then people were like, why don't you run? I was like, dude, man, I've never run for politics before. I don't know what that cup of tea means, it really tastes like. And like, no, you should run. And one day, fast forward 6 months, I got a call from John Kokoris, who was one of the main guys who, I and him were kind of scouting for candidates. And let's meet for coffee. At this is the height of the pandemic. It's kind of chilly outside, and we're sitting outside, and we're sipping coffee, and there are like 7 8 people there. And he goes, Junaid, we think we have a candidate. And like, I was kind of excited that, okay, finally, who is it? I can't wait to meet him or her. And they're like, you're the candidate. And this is how this I had to obviously come back, discuss with the family, because I always was, kind of involved on weekends on different activities, but taking on a political campaign would be at a completely different level. So came back, discussed with the family, discussed this with a lot of national and local elected officials at different levels who I felt comfortable with, and discussed what would it take really in terms of money, in terms of commitment, time commitment. That process took another 2 to 3 months. We actually got the data. We spent about several months, because my background is data analysis, my undergrad was in data. So I have a couple of friends who are PhDs in data analysis. One of them works for Google. So we kind of sat down, analyzed the data, sliced and diced for about 2, 3 months. Is this race even worth taking on? Keep in mind, I'm at a point in my business, walking away from business financially may not be the smartest decision. But so I didn't want to take on a race that we cannot win. So that process took another 2, 3 months, and closer to the end of 2020, November, December timeframe, it was pretty clear that we're going to take on this candidacy. And here we are.
Great. Now I'll ask Alia and Fatima to ask a short question. And go ahead, Alia.
Um, sure. So thank you so much, Junaid, sharing about, your experience and what motivated you. And I think Bernie motivated so many people he motivated. And we already see, some really great candidates who actually were successful. And we are wishing you the very best also, and, in your campaign also. Um, one question, I would like to ask you, it's maybe kind of like share about how the audience can contact your campaign to learn more about you also, and then you can share about your website, your social media, and please let them know, like, what are the most urgent areas that you need help with, right? So I'd like to give
Absolutely.
you that opportunity, please. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ali. See, another key thing that we need to. I'm a son of an immigrant. I am an immigrant myself. Migrated with my parents. One thing is for us, at least in the community that I consider, you know, it's time to give back to the larger community. It's time to give back to the local and the global community that we have. And there, I will tell you that as I'm doing this for the last 6 months or so, I've always been an activist myself in some one area or the other. We run different homeless shelters here locally, and I'm part of different organizations that do this nationally as well. I've been involved in philanthropic different ways as well. One thing I'll tell you, what I've realized in the last 6 months, that there's probably no better way to give back to the community, to this amazing country, than getting involved politically. Because you have people in politics who are in it for, I'm not saying all, a lot of them, for a special interest, because that's where they get their a chunk bulk of their money from, or in it for personal reasons, or in it as a career. For us, those of us who have seen their parents go through the struggle and actually give back in a capacity that you are in it for no other reason but to give back to the community, I think that's got to be the main reason. If somebody wants to get into politics, if that reason to give back to the community is not there, then probably not the smartest idea to get into politics. So I want to kind of call that out first. Now, how can someone reach out to our campaign? It's very easy. junaidforcongress.com. I just put it in the chat,
I
the
saw that.
website, junaidforcongress.com. And on that, we have our social media links. The one thing that I would ask of people nationally, if they can just go and follow us on social media, right? This is a very young campaign at this point. We are 1 year away from the primaries. Our primaries are in June of 2022. Main election would be November, but primaries are of the utmost importance at this point. But if we can, kind of, if you can go follow us on social media, and then if you can sign up for volunteering on the website. Obviously, this campaign is about grassroots mobilization. People locally to the district, or closer to the Chicago area, obviously they can do a lot of on the ground grassroots volunteerism, like we are at multiple fests these days. We are going to be starting door knocking in the next 4 or 5 months. As we know, the new districts come up starting January. We're going to have to start collecting signatures. That's for people locally. Nationally, we're going to need people for text banking. We're going to need people for phone banking. and just moral support, right? As we are going around, we're going to need to do. Obviously, our focus is not fundraising for this campaign. Our focus is out organizing the incumbent. Our focus is not in art fundraising. Having said that, we're still going to need about 2 or 3 million to have a strong campaign going. So people can go to junaidforgottencongress.com and make their donations: $3, $27, 2,900, whatever works for you, works for the, that will be a huge help. But for right now, what I would say is, if you're seeing this, go to the website, sign up, just for being just being aware of what's happening, and follow us on social media.
That's perfect, Junaid. Now I would ask Fatima to ask a question.
Okay, Junaid. Hey, I just wanted to. I'm glad to be here and to support you and other very aspiring and inspirational candidates. And I'm very inspired by your story and the reason that you are getting into politics, because that's the reason people should do that, to do what you're doing. And so I salute you. I have a couple of questions. The primary question, and I know you talked a little bit about some issues.
Fatima, keep it to one question, because we need to get Saqib right after this.
Okay, what's your platform?
We stand for Medicare for all. We stand for college for all. For a single standard of global human rights, and most importantly,
excuse me, could someone mute? I hear some background noise.
Let's see. Let me see who it is.
I think it's Mohammed Sadiq.
No, he's muted. I think he's muted. Oh yeah, no, he is not muted. We need to mute him.
He's muted now. We're good.
Now he's muted. Okay, so go ahead, please.
Yes, so we stand for Medicare for all, college for all, single standard of global, human rights globally. We stand up for the same human rights that we stand up for people in this great country, people in Latin America, people in Asia, Middle East, you name it. We stand for single standard of human rights. And most importantly, we want to get special interest money out of politics. The problem we have with our political system is that when you take hundreds of thousands from an insurance pack, from a pharmaceutical pack, how are you going to stand up for people? You're going to vote what they want, and that's the fundamental root cause of a lot of problems that I believe we have in this country. So that's our signature platform. Obviously, you can go to our website, you can take a look at all the other things we stand for, but these are primary.
Alia, you had a quick question. Go ahead.
I think I just want to follow up on this platform that Junaid shared and say, I think, most of the things that you mentioned, Junaid, Barney was able to, I think, talk with the Biden campaign and come to some agreement that they will include these things in the national platform. And, we are hoping that, yes, the college student will get a break. The friend I was with last night, the one I'm telling you, she's very critically sick. She's she has 3 grown-up children who are also in college, but she is still under debt. Okay, because she did, I think she did 2 bachelors, she did master's, she did part of her PhD also. And she's still under debt. She still has about 20,000 to go.
Let's just go to the question, Alia.
Right. And well, I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to comment that, yeah, that's a great platform, and that we are hoping that we will see some, fruits.
Good.
It just makes common sense. That's all. It just makes common sense to have people study without a debt and be a valuable citizen and give back to the country.
Especially the money out of politics, that is so important. We worked very hard in Virginia also, and this was last year. I think we had bills on this also, but not many passed, and the fight continues here too, and the fight continues nationally too, and we're hoping the PRO Act will pass. There's so many people working so hard for the PRO Act, and yeah.
Well, thank you, Alia. Junaid, I got last question before we go to Saqib. You mentioned about scouting for the candidate. Is there a template you can briefly mention how you went about scouting for the candidates?
I was easy. For every contact that we had in the area, we just reached out. We reached out to a few elected officials locally. We just kind of made a phone call through personal contacts, or just reached out to them through any contact that we could make and asked them, "Hey, is this something you're willing to take on? As long as you stand for A, B, C, and C policies," because our policies are very clear for us. It was not about the individual; it was about the policies. So some people did not agree on the policies. So like, okay, great. And then, for us to support you, you're going to have to stand up for these four things. Some people agreed for the policies, but did not want to take on an incumbent. And then the third step that we found was they agreed to run, they agreed on the policies, but absolutely had no ability to raise any funds, and no clout to raise any funds. So those are the three basic criteria we were looking at.
What we have done on our part is we have created a graphic encouraging fellow Muslims to have the conversation, whether they meet for dinner, social gathering, picnics, and talk about how can they somebody can run for the public office and how can they make their contribution to America to make this nation a great nation. Thank you, Junaid. Now, Alia, do you have the information for Saqib to
Um,
introduce? Okay, let me do that.
yeah.
In Saqib Ali in 2006 became the first Muslim elected official in Maryland's history. That's the state of Maryland. Saqib served 4 years in Maryland House of Delegates from 2006 to 2010. He is now once again running for the Maryland House of Delegates in 2022 election. Saqib is proudly progressive Democrat. He is a Pakistani American, a Muslim, and an outspoken advocate for equal human rights for all throughout the world. Saqib, please, the floor is yours. Tell us why you are running again and what is your agenda, what's your platform. Basically, the same questions we asked Junaid. Go ahead, please. It's open, your opening statement. You have to unmute.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
I
salam.
appreciate the opportunity and really salute Junaid for his run for Congress. I've never met him before, but all the issues he talks about, I agree 200%. And I think if I was in his district, I would be looking for a candidate just like him. So good luck to him, inshallah. I just signed up on his website, go team Junaid, 100%. Yeah, so I'm a progressive Democrat. I'm a former elected official, and I'm motivated by social justice and by community welfare. Look, I want good schools, good roads. I want fair policing. I want people to be healthy. I want people to have good finances and be educated. And I agree with Junaid pretty much on all the things he said. Too much money floating around in politics has corrupted our system, and we need to fight back and do whatever we can at every level, politically, judicially, in the culture. And so those are the things I'm interested in. I'm very focused, particularly on some smaller issues. I'm a big advocate of government transparency. I'm a big advocate for reforming our state government with technology. And I'm interested in finding solutions that have, cropped up in other places to problems and implementing them here in Maryland. So, if there's an interesting experiment somewhere in Switzerland that some small town created a bus transportation system, yeah, let's try that here in our state.
Well, that's a good, super good summary, Saqib. Now I would ask Alia to ask a question.
Well, before I ask a question, Mike, you were asking me if I know Saqib and if yes. So, with Saqib, he's like my young brother to me. I've known Saqib since 2006, actually, when he first ran. So I couldn't remember the year. So thank you for reminding that. And Saqib is one of those people that really strongly believe in giving back to the community. And I've seen that, firsthand from him, how he's so much involved and not just the local community. He's involved globally. I mean, of course, nationally and globally too. He's very passionate for human rights. And I would like to ask him, Saqib, I know, like, again, firsthand, I've seen you do so many things, and, you know, you are a truth speaker, truth seeker. You go and ask difficult questions, especially on the issue of situation between Israel and Palestine, right? Can you share with us a little bit, like, what motivates you to do that and what keeps you doing it? Because you've been doing it for years.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Alia, the respect is absolutely mutual. I've known you for so long. I can't remember how long I've known you for. So, you know, and you do the same work. You know, you've been doing the same work for years also. So, listen, I'm very educated. I know what's happening in the situation between Israel and Palestine. And I don't want any special treatment for anybody in the world. I don't want anybody to be treated better than others. I don't want favoritism. I'm not tribalistic. But what I think is that Palestinians and Israelis should be treated equally, you know. And I stand up for that very strongly. And I think that there should be fairness. I don't think that, you know, because your race is Palestinian, you should be treated superior to Jews. And I don't think if your race is Jewish or your ethnicity is Jewish, that you should be treated superior to Palestinians. This, for many people, is a outrageous and a surprising, shocking statement when you say this, right? And I'm saying this now in 2021. I've been saying this for decades, right? But this idea of equality, just like for white supremacists, when they were told that Black people were equal, they, you know, it was outrageous to them. But it's not an outrageous idea. So I stand up for the same ideas. We've had our local politicians in Maryland try to attack Palestinian human rights activists in America. Okay, so there's the occupation. So our governor in Maryland, his name is Larry Hogan. He's a Republican. He passed a bill saying that if you want to get a state contract with the state of Maryland, you have, if you want to fix a pothole, or if you want to set up a building, or if you want to provide a database for the state of Maryland, you have to first sign a piece of paper saying that I do not boycott Israel. You can boycott China, you can boycott France, you can boycott Russia, you can boycott Saudi Arabia, as I do. But if you boycott Israel, you cannot get a state contract, unfortunately. So I find this a violation of my free speech. So I have sued the governor. I'm currently involved in a lawsuit funded by CARE. CARE is providing me lawyers to sue the governor of Maryland, saying that, hey, this is a violation of my free speech. If I have a political opinion that you find unpopular, you cannot ban me from a state benefit. So that lawsuit has been dragging on for over 2 years now. We'll see where it goes. That's one of the things, but, you know, the idea that the thing that really got me upset was that, you know, there's the occupation of Palestine, right? And Palestinians are under all these restrictions and they cannot do this and they can't do that. That's bad enough. But when you try and extend that occupation to America and say, I can't speak about Palestine, I got a real problem with that. So that's why I've stood up, and I don't, you know, I don't think certainly that Israel's occupation of Palestine should extend to me.
Saqib, that is a very bold statement. Nobody has made such a strong statement. And
I don't think it's so bold. It's just
No,
common sense.
politically it is very bold, and I admire you for saying that. I think no one should be more privileged than the other. That's what America stands for: equal rights and equal speech for all. I'm glad you are doing that. It will gradually gain the momentum, and hopefully that is the right thing to do, what you are doing. I appreciate. Fatima, you have a question?
No, I have my mouth full. I had a question 15 minutes ago.
Okay.
Well, I'll just say one thing, right? I'm running for local political office, right? I have these ideas about all kinds of conflicts around the world, in Ukraine and Palestine and Haiti, other places as well. But, you know, I'm also very, very focused on the local environment, you know, how are, you know, getting people to switch to electrification of vehicles. I drive an electric vehicle. I have solar panels on my homes. We want to find ways, the global warming crisis is an existential crisis for humanity. And this is something very important that I want to find ways also in the state government. I want to find ways to treat all our citizens equally, whether regardless of their sexual orientation or gender preference or whatever. We need to make sure that we have a fair society and a good society. And I want to make sure that when people get sick, they can get treatment without going bankrupt, just like Jeanette said, right? We saw with the coronavirus, people got a good taste of socialized medicine, right? You can go to get a vaccine for free. Is this outrageous? Is this Marxism? Is this critical race theory? I don't know, but I like it, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I want. More of that, please.
Saqib, you got very good agenda. I hope all the right-thinking people from all across the state support you for what you stand for.
Inshallah.
Alia, you got a follow-up question for him?
Well, okay, absolutely, Saqib. I mean, you're so inspiring. You're an excellent example, a role model of why someone should run and kind of the traits that they should have so they can be successful at serving others, right? Because you're not just talking, you actually walk your talk too, right? You do it and then you ask others to do it. You're not just saying something, right?
Thank you.
And I think that's you have inspired so many people today. And it looks like, I think Fatima, you may have a question. I saw you raising a hand. So go ahead, please. Yeah, ask Saqib the question.
If you're not mouthful.
I'm almost done with my brunch. Thank you for your indulgence. Anyway, so going back to the issue of money in politics, to me, that is the most important one. I mean, everything you've talked about on your platform is extremely important, but why is the money out of politics one important? I know you know that better than I do. It's because it's the thing that drives all of the decisions in this country. And if we were to go to maybe something along the lines of what they have in Europe, which is publicly funded elections, I don't know what you were suggested as a replacement. That's a different question. And I don't know that we have time to answer that here. But the issue that what I was trying to say here is with respect to publicly funded elections, it's critical that you are getting into the game because this can only be changed by the people that are already there. It can only go so far. If you can build coalitions outside to pressure Congress, but ultimately it's the members of Congress that have to decide, hey, this isn't working for us anymore. And you guys have to drive that change from within. That's what I wanted to say.
Absolutely, 100%. Publicly financed elections are very important, and I'm 100 advocate of that at the state level and at the federal level. Even for Junaid, he should not have to beg people for money. But unfortunately, in the election system that I'm running, we do not have public financing, and I hope to change that once I get there. But yeah, it's a very because that money influences every single other issue.
Absolutely. Right? You're beholden to whoever pays.
Unfortunately.
You have to pay the piper, as they say. Yeah.
Saqib, go ahead. Saqib,
Yeah,
Alia, go ahead.
I mean, money out of politics is really, really important. And I think another equally important aspect is educating the public. Like, so many people don't even know when primaries are going on, right? If they're not involved, like they just don't know. And afterwards, they're like, oh, there was election here going on. And it's like, where do you live, guys? But they need to be reached out to. And that's also not done. So I think, yes, getting the money out of politics will probably, level, the field better, and also educating people will also have more people encouraged to vote. So that's really important too.
Absolutely.
So hopefully
we need to make the franchise available to as many people as possible, right? We should make voting as easy for everyone by mail, at home.
Make it mandatory. Make it mandatory.
No. I'm not in favor of making voting mandatory at all.
Let there be freedom.
Why is that, Saqib?
Well, because the thing is, so if somebody doesn't vote, you're going to find them, or you're going to put them in jail. What's going to happen then?
At least it will motivate them to vote, right?
And if they don't vote, are you going to put them in jail?
No, you can have a small fine or something.
Okay, so somebody doesn't vote. They're African American from a poor part of town. They didn't have a car, so they didn't vote. Now you're going to find them, and now they can't pay their fine. Now they're going to
you have to make it easy to vote for them too, right? Let's do it by mail.
Well, what
So
if they
send
fall asleep?
everyone
What if they
a
fall
ballot
asleep? What if they just don't want to vote? So you're gonna. I don't believe in my personal. I
can't
don't believe
force.
in because
Alia, we have to believe in freedom. People should have a choice, complete freedom. That is absolute freedom. I think I'm right with the Saqib on that.
and frankly, I believe that felons, incarcerated felons, even people who are in jail, they should have the right to vote too.
Absolutely. I believe that too. Yes, they should have a choice. Choice should always be there, not taken away from them.
Alia, are you in Fairfax?
I'm in Sterling. I'm in Loudoun County.
It's okay, so you're in Loudoun County. I don't know how active that community is. I was going to suggest that you reach out maybe to the Fairfax County Democratic Party and the Arlington. If we can help you guys get started with respect to making sure that people are aware of elections, you're absolutely right. That is critical. And it's critical not just for the presidential election, which, you know, is well publicized.
Fatima, let's just keep focus with Saqib now.
Okay.
His election campaign. Saqib, you are one of the good things I have learned in the last 20 some minutes is that you are very precise in answering and you are not going long-winded conversation. And I think that is very good. People, when they ask questions, they want a direct answer and you give it. And I appreciate that. Now back to share why. The same question I had asked Junaid about scouting. How were you asked by someone, or what made you want to run again?
I was not asked by anyone.
Okay.
I just said, look, it's time. I did this before. And when I left the assembly, I felt that there was unfinished work to do. When I was in the Assembly of Maryland previously, I was considered a fringe lefty, okay? Because I stood up, I sometimes argued with my party leadership. Sometimes I fought, I was very active on social media. People thought, what is this social media stuff, right? What is this Twitter, right? I was very, very strongly in favor of things that were kind of considered fringe at the time, such as banning the death penalty. So it's been 12 years, and I feel like all the things that I was considered fringe for, I have now become very, very mainstream. And I was maybe just a little bit ahead of my time. So I think it's time to go back and take care of some unfinished business.
Junaid, you two are candidates. Junaid, you want to ask any question to Saqib and then vice versa after that?
No, Saqib, first of all, a lot of respect for you, bro. I mean, I loved what I heard. A lot of respect. Amazing work. I think are you standing up? I mean, you kind of suing the governor for just simply protecting our freedom of speech. I can't respect you enough and thank you enough for doing what is needed here. One question for you, Saqib. In terms of all the policies that we stand up for, considering the local politics, being a representative, at that point, so what do you think is the path here, right? Because you have done this in 2006 already. Do you think going back at that level, or would you consider a little bit different office going forward?
Yeah. Well, look, in 2010, the reason I left the assembly was because I ran for the state senate, and I lost a very close election by like 100 votes. So I did what people you have to make a jump, and I jumped and I missed. So yes, I'm interested in in higher office, inshallah, someday. But right now, I have to focus on this, and then if this works, then we'll see what happens in the future. But I have great respect for you. And you're an excellent candidate. I had already seen your website, and I'm a big fan. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Saqib. Let's stay in touch.
Saqib, you have a question for Junaid?
Yeah. I mean, just like, what took you so long, man? We need. I love. Well, actually, you know what? You know what? I have a question. How old are you, my friend?
45.
Oh, okay. You look very young. You look. So we're almost the same age. I'm 46. So
Bye bye,
so
brother, old brother.
you look like you're 32.
I'll take that.
Mike looks like he's 32. That's what I was saying to Mike.
Oh, I'm 69.
No, no, I don't believe it. I don't
The
believe
old
that
guy.
at all.
No, I am. I can show you my driver's license.
And let's keep the the age question with the guys as well, just for now.
Oh, talking about age, Junaid, I think
They're teenagers. Janed, the other
the
two are teenagers.
first time I heard about you, Junaid, was I think your daughter, right? And I didn't know it was your daughter at that time. I saw a tweet in which she was kind of like doing a quick interview with you. You know, you guys were sitting on the sofa and she's asking, hey, why you're running? And I saw that. And then, like, yeah, you honestly look so young. And when I found out that that was, she said, oh, that's my dad, because people thought that was her brother.
Well,
So
we got
I agree with Saki, but we do need more young people jumping into the field, right? I'm really happy to see you run. I'm really happy Saqib is running again. And I think Saqib is very much open to, if an opportunity arises even now for a Senate seat. Saqib, you will switch or not?
100%.
Yes, right? So Saqib is just kind of like sitting, on the fence and watching out. As soon as that opportunity arises, yes, keep moving forward, keep moving forward.
we
So
got
that's
seven.
great.
Alia, we got about 7 minutes left, and let's the both of them give a closing statement.
Yes.
Junaid, you want to start your closing statement? Why people should elect you?
Absolutely.
And
I think
in your closing statement, Junaid, if you could maybe both of you also quickly share, like, because this program is for others, right? To motivate others, to inspire others, to get them ready. It's like what one needs to do to prepare to run. Let's say you've motivated them, right? They want to run now. What do they need to prepare to run, and share kind of some tips on how to successfully launch a campaign? That would be very helpful.
absolutely. No, what motivated me to run, I talked about that in detail, right? First and foremost, I would say get your intention right. If your intentions are not right, there is no point. Please do not get into politics. We already have enough muddy waters there. Let's keep it, try to make it a little bit cleaner. Get your motivations right. Secondly, get your base. Talk to the people who are close to you, right? You must have done something in your life, up to that point that where you make that decision to run. Then get your base. Make sure that your base is very strong. Now, don't say wrong things to get your base strong, like we've heard in the last several years. But get the people around you motivated, right? If you do not have that support strong, trust me, it will be very difficult to get the level 2 and the level 3 standing up for you. Your level 0 and level 1 has to be this. Once you get that going, then it would be much easier for you to convince the level 2 and the level 3. So far, we have raised 300,000 a year ahead of the primaries. That only happened because we were able to get our first level, the circle 1 and circle 0, kind of stand up and unanimously believe that, hey, Junaid, are you running? All right, I'm just going to write the check. Hey, I don't need to hear your platform because I believe whatever you're going to do is not going to be wrong. So I think that would be my advice to anybody who is trying to run for office. Get your inner circle standing up shoulder to shoulder with you. And then the second very, very important thing I'll tell you is you're going to find lovers and you're going to find haters. You're going to find people who are going to say that, dude, where are you coming from? You have absolutely zero political experience and you want to represent, you want to go to US Congress? Get out of here. You have absolutely no chance. You're going to find
In
a lot
line.
you're going to find a lot more people who are going to say that than the ones who are going to stand up with you. So be very strong, have a very clear strategy of what you stand up for and how you're going to get there. When you have that path in your mind clean and well written, even if it's not on a piece of paper, obviously do it on a piece of paper if you don't have it, but have that clear path forward, then I think that nothing can stop you.
Perfect.
Building
Perfect.
relationships, right? And then having confidence in yourself and be able to say, hey, it's everyone's right to run. I don't have to wait my turn. There's nothing like, oh, it's my turn, or no, it's everyone has the right to run,
Sure.
right? So be confident and
Thanks,
build good
Alia.
relationships. Great.
Saqib, you got 3 minutes.
Sure. I'll say something a little bit different. What Junaid said was 100% right. But if somebody's interested in running and they've decided they're motivated now, okay, I would say one of the most important things that I went through was to volunteer in somebody else's campaign, right? Because just like Junaid said, he worked for Bernie Sanders, he volunteered in Bernie Sanders' campaign. When you volunteer in somebody else's campaign, you're helping them, but you're also, it's like a campaign school, right? It's like a training program. And you say, oh, okay, when I run, I need to do this. And when I run, I need to do this. And I need to send these letters and sign these postcards and knock on these many doors. And this is what I should say when someone comes up and starts screaming at me, right? And saying, you're horrible, you're whatever, right? It's those like basics of being around a campaign and doing the daily grind. It's a grind. Junaid knows very well. Understanding that process is I don't think anyone should run for office until they've volunteered for somebody else's political campaign. I think that's not an official prerequisite, but it's a very important education.
Saqib, why should people vote for you? You got 2 minutes.
Sure, they should vote for me because I'm working to make sure that our current generation, our future generations in Maryland have the best schools, the best roads, the best air to breathe, and the strongest future. And I think I offer that, frankly, better than the incumbent candidates who are running.
Well, thank you very much. In conclusion, this program will be on YouTube. All you have to do is plug in Center for Pluralism and you'll get that. And next week, once a month on second Saturday, Sunday, we have this program called Political Pluralism. And every other Sunday, we have called Muslims Together. And that is also about Muslim candidates being encouraged to run for the public office. So next week we have, it's non-political, Sumaira is Algerian French Muslim, and she is going to do a program on Islam in America from the 8th century, from 7th century and 8th century on. And Prophet Muhammad's name is inscribed on a rock somewhere in Nevada and California. She has got all the details, and she'll be presenting that next Sunday, same time. And it was a great news for me to hear. And this program, Political Pluralism, is hosted by Alia and me as co-hosts. Alia, you want to share about, I'm with the Center for Pluralism and you are with?
Virginia Muslim Political Action Committee, and then also Virginia Political Cooperative. So I represent 2 organizations.
Fatima, one word from you just to conclude it.
I'm going to make a shameless plug for our 4th annual Interfaith Eid celebration. It's going to be on July 25th, 1 p.m. At Bluemont Park in Arlington. Everyone is welcome. I would be delighted to have all of you come as my special guests.
Can you please put that information in the chat, if you don't mind?
I will, but I think we may have to end before I may find the link.
No, I will hold it. I will hold for the chat.
Will you? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk and I'll continue to look for that.
Thanks, Fatima, while you do that. So I think we are almost ready to wrap up. So let me say, thank you to our guests, Junaid, Saqib. We learned a lot from you today. And, to the participants also, Fatima and I think Mohammed, thank you so much for, joining us today. And everyone who will be watching this program, we are really hoping that you're going to be gaining a better understanding of what it takes to run for public office, and that our guest speakers, they have empowered you, they have inspired you to take that next step, like start building the relationships, like Junaid said also. And then, what Saqib said was like, hey, get the hands-on experience, right? Go and actually volunteer in a campaign and learn firsthand. So those things will really, really help you. Also, you can, contact Mike, you can contact me, and, we will try to help you also if you're really serious about running. So thank you so much again to our guests and, to everyone watching. Fatima, back to you if you have.
Yes, I'll report.
Thanks, Aliyah. I've put the link in the chat, so please, hit the link so you'll have it beyond this call, and an RSVP, and we would be delighted to have your friends and family. It's a family event. There'll be kids event, kids things, games, and we'll have additions. So it'll be great.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Junaid. Thank you, Saqib. And thank you, Aliyah and Fatima. We appreciate you all. And Center for Pluralism, our only business is to build cohesive America where every American feels secure about his or her faith, race, religion, or ethnicity. And we are here to open people's hearts and minds towards each other. Thank you very much. God bless America.
Before we wrap up, I think, Saqib, you did not share about your website. So I would like to give you that opportunity. Please let folks know how to reach you.
Yes.
Absolutely. And after that, we will close the the program.
Yes. Ali for Maryland. Saqib, you're on mute.
Sorry, everyone, please visit www.aliformaryland.com. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
And if you search for my name on Twitter or Facebook, you will certainly find me. Please add me.
Is Maryland spelled out in the?
Yes, it's.
Okay.
I posted the link in the chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Everyone, okay, to wrap up, let's save the chat. Let's not forget that. Save the chat. I'm doing that as I speak. So save the chat, please, before you exit the meeting, and hope to see you all again next month. Until then, please stay safe and stay engaged. Thank you so much.
God bless everyone, and God bless America.
Have a happy Sunday. Bye.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Walaikum assalam.